another topic you brought up, which I love and keeps coming up in these conversations, is personal responsibility. So
Hmm.
there's the part of, oh my God, I saw these red flags. I feel so stupid.
Hmm.
And on the other hand, there's, okay, what can I take responsibility for in this moment? So can you just say a little bit more about how we can do that without blaming and shaming ourselves?
Right.
Because I'm sure some people out there, whether it be, a relationship or you've been conned by someone or, at a job, there are tons of examples of being betrayed by people,
Hmm.
places, and things. So it's not just in relationship people, but
Right.
can you walk
Yeah,
us through
I,
that?
I think that like so many of us have stories of ignoring red flags or our intuition, whether they're in relationships, friendships,
Mhm.
family member situations, or jobs. And when I think, everything hits the fan and we're on the other side and we're telling the story, kind of regardless of the circumstances of how it turned out, we can have those thoughts of like, how could I have been so stupid? How can I have not seen it? And I even see this on social media, like when stories come out, particularly with women as the quote unquote victim. I'll use that term loosely here, where I see that in the comment section, like, how could she have not known? How could she have
Mm.
been so stupid to have fallen for that story? And like, oh, that's
Mhm.
the oldest story in the book and things like that. And I think that we can endlessly beat ourselves up for not seeing what was right in front of our face.
Yeah.
And I used to think to myself, I'm 31 years old. It's not like I was some, clueless 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like it really is so incredibly nuanced around looking at, and this is, I take a lot away from the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And one of those is sort of like taking inventory of what is your part. And I'm always very careful when I talk about this because you can fall into a self-blame hole and never be able to get out.
Yeah.
And just, I think women tend to be so incredibly hard on themselves and have these standards of perfection and strength that are just not humanly possible. So when I say it's nuanced, what I mean by that is like you really have to be careful in what you're taking responsibility for. And if I had to just kind of bottom line it, I would say, what did you truly like any time that we're making mistakes,
Mhm.
whether we are like having an affair, or doing things that we would never normally do, we're
Mhm.
trying to get our needs met.
Mm.
We're trying to get our needs met. Most likely it's like we just want to be loved and seen and cared for and like just these like basic human things.
Right.
And I do think that sometimes when we know better, we don't do better. I know
Mm.
I have. Like there's been moments where I'm like, I
Of
probably
course.
shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Hmm.
But I think it's incredibly nuanced and just like looking at what you really needed in that moment and we're trying to get and having a little bit of compassion and grace for yourself.
Mm.
And also thinking about like, how can I do better next time? Like, what did I learn from this situation? When you're in the weeds, you don't want to be answering that question, but
Right.
definitely like there is a time and place to be able to draw lines between like what you need to take responsibility for and also moving away from blaming yourself to a point of just, beating yourself
Hmm.
up and being cruel to yourself because we can all do that.
Grace. I love that word. I
Yeah.
love the image it conjures up in my head. What does grace mean to you? Like giving yourself grace, what does
Hmm.
that look like?
Letting yourself off the hook, but also not making excuses for yourself, knowing that you're going to make the same mistake again,
Mm.
especially if it impacts someone else and it hurts someone else. And, for me in that particular situation, I vowed to never ignore my intuition again, but I
Mm.
found myself doing it again in another
Sure.
relationship, like,
Hmm.
so I think that when that's the case, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation around trauma and our nervous system and like what our kind of like automatic thoughts and behaviors become
Right.
because we become very scared, I think, in,
Hmm.
in relationships and things like that. So yeah, I kind of went off on a little tangent there, but grace to
Okay.
me means having a lot of compassion for yourself.